Okay. And let this room fill up a bit. Oh. Hello, Gabriel. My first visitor. Smash! What's up, guys? I'm gonna let it fill up here. What up, Mike? I'm gonna let it fill up here for a sec, and then I'm gonna go over some techniques that I've been going over for the past couple weeks for the advanced bodyboarding tutorial. I never really learned much or had any learned from anyone. I just learned from watching bodyboarding. So I figured, as I started looking at some of the techniques and stuff, I realized I had to do some work. So I really have been analyzing this stuff for the past couple weeks. I got some ideas I want to bring by you guys. Yeah, what up, boys? What's up, Tristan? Stephanie, what up, guys? Stephanie, my surfboard is 6 foot, and then it's fairly thin. Yeah, it doesn't have much buoyancy, and I'm 5'11", so it doesn't float very much. What's up, everyone? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Adrian. What's up, Johnny? My mouth mount. I don't have it with me. It's in the car right now. I'll do that at some point, though. I may be able to run. Maybe I'll run down and get the mouth mount at the end of this or something like that. What bodyboard do I use? It's a Science bodyboard, and I'm going to be getting another Science again soon. It's a, it has a bat tail. It's like a 42-inch, I believe. All right, so I'm gonna start getting into it here and just going over just the basics of what I do and what works for me, I guess. All right, so when it comes down to it, it starts with paddling. When you're paddling, I barely use my legs. My legs your movement should derive from your hips, and there shouldn't be much flailing around with your legs. It's only going to slow you down. So obviously you want to use more of your arms, keep your head low and chest kind of low down on the front of the board so you have momentum going that in order to get a nice hydroplane. And at that point, I've noticed when I paddle, usually you paddle like this with your hands straight forward. I actually paddle with my hands turned inward like this, so you're pushing the water outwards. And, it doesn't push water into your legs, kind of creating, I don't know, I think you kind of get caught up in it. But, yeah, when I'm paddling, I actually turn my hands inward like this and push the water out. It seems to work a lot, and I barely use my legs when I'm paddling into the wave. I kind of get little small, kind of kicks going into it, but I usually, rarely use my legs when getting down into it. Once you're, let's see, okay, so head low, less legs, movement from hips, get the inward palm, and then I'd say once you're on the wave, it has a lot to do with form. Ultimately, when you're on the wave, you want no drag. That's kind of the idea. Once your legs start dragging, anything starts dragging, you're going to lose speed. It's going to mess up your momentum and everything. Whether you're going left or right, obviously you're going right, you want to plant your right arm. You really should be able to plant your elbow into the board with your hand comfortably up top, and your body doesn't even really need to be touching the board. Your fins can kind of be skimming to keep you above the water, but it would be good training to put your elbow into the board and kind of practice almost floating your body, letting your board do the work, because that's what's really gonna allow you to hydroplane, is getting a nice pressure on your shoulder, your elbow with your hand, and getting a nice press there so you can, one, cut through the chops, and two, you want to be able to streamline through the wave. You don't want your nose to catch, you don't want your fins to start dragging, it's going to spin you in the wrong direction. You kind of gotta shift your weight a lot with the elbow. That's another thing that I'm going to get into here, is shifting your weight. Anytime you do any kind of trick, you're shifting your weight back and forth or side to side, and trying to recover back to your comfortable position. Okay, so you got the no drag, elbow control, arm, straighten your form out. When you're trying to get speed and you have your form down, you'll actually see with my POVs, I put my head down a little bit, and when I put my head down, my legs straighten out even more. So I don't know if that has to do with like wind funneling or something like that, but that's what I do in order to kind of like get as much speed as possible. And also, when you notice when I'm dropping into a wave, I'll turn right and turn my head that like to the left when I'm going left, and that actually gives you more momentum going into the direction you want to go. Very small, like subtle movements when you really get it down is what makes the difference. And let's see, yeah, in that last POV video I just had in the offshore winds, the last wave, that barrel that I came out of, I had my head down, so you can't really tell too much, but it was like a double barrel. And almost the entire wave, once I got my nose in, I was just like this. Like, I don't think I like changed my form at all, and I just shot down, and it was pretty sick. But okay, I'll get to these questions in a second, guys. Sorry, I'm just trying to kind of winging this. I have some plot points here. But yeah, you got so you got no drag, elbow control arm, straighten form out when you want to get speed. Obviously, as you're kind of figuring out the wave, you can stall and put your feet in the waves until you want to figure out what you're going to want to do. Because even on a couple of those waves in that offshore video, you see me, you can kind of pull the brakes like that. When your elbow's planted, your hands on the front, you pull back like that, and it gives you like a little brake section to figure your stuff out. Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention right now. And your shoulders actually, with your form, with your legs up, no drag, elbow all in there, your shoulders should really almost be over, not the nose, but it should be like close to like where my bodyboard mount is on my board. My shoulders are like over that. So I'm like kind of hovering over that. And you got to obviously mix that with your body shifting. But ultimately, that's where you're going to get the most momentum and push into the wave. Once you're going right or left, you're going right or left, and you have your form straight and your legs aren't dragging. You can use if you're going right, you're going to use your right fin and almost right leg. Your left leg doesn't really want to touch the water. Your right leg, if you're going right, your right leg, you can drag to give you a little bit more traction. If you start sliding out, you use your right leg, kind of like drop it pretty good, and it'll give you a nice straight movement. You might lose a little bit of speed. It depends on like the section you're going for. If you're trying to get around some whitewash, or if you're just trying to like beat like another corner to another section or something like that. I guess it depends, but you can if you're going right, you can drop your right leg, not too much. You really just want to drop the fin. If you need to, you can drop the knee and it'll slow you down a bit, but just dropping the fin gives you kind of like traction, almost like a fin would be on a surfboard. That's what you can use that for. And if you're going left, vice versa. You're going left, you're going to use your left fin. Your right fin shouldn't go in the water if you're going left, but you can use your left fin to drop it and use it as like a paddle almost. If you see guys on kayaks and they drop the paddle in the back, that's kind of like the idea of it, I guess. So there's form. Form. So going down the list of form, no drag, elbow control, arm, straighten form out and generate speed. Shoulders in line with nose. Yeah, almost like up towards the nose. Shifting weight, very important when you get to tricks. If you're going right, use your right leg to kind of use as a little paddle in the back to straighten you out if you need to. And if you're going left, use your left leg. And okay, so like I guess we go into tricks here. So I guess when you're going to do tricks, you're going to start with the 360. When you are doing any kind of 360, you want your arms to stay where they are. It's hard to not want to put your hand out and like drag a little bit of water. I mean, sure, it'll get the job done, but proper 360 should be done with your hands planted where they are. So with a regular 360, you kind of get usually for me, the ideal 360 would be either on the takeoff, like as you drop into the wave, and you can stall at the top. But and you can do the 360 down the wave, but you got to really kind of like shoot through that section. But basically, yeah, you use your fins. So it's almost like you have your fins like this, and you use your fins, and you do like a kick to the side and kick your fins up. At that point, you have to shift your body weight from like kind of like just in the middle section of the board, and you have to shift it upwards because you have to change your balance to the middle of the board in order to fully rotate and enter the wave back with speed. So, you could do the 360 at the top while you're stalling before you drop into it, or you can drop into the wave, get your bottom turn in, and then you can kind of do a 360 as you're coming back up into the the shoulder of the wave. And once again, with the bottom turn, you almost do like it's almost like a quick spray, but at the same time, your feet are doing that kick that I was talking about. So at the same time that you give a little elbow kind of jab in there, your feet kick up, and they want to kick up into the side, so you have the momentum spinning around, and you're basically gonna have to figure out something for a half second or a second. You're not going to be able to see much. You just got to kind of feel the balance of the board. This is where shifting weight comes in. And you just got to kind of like let it slide. Your fins are going to be sitting up above you like this for at least half a second to a second. And right when you feel your momentum coming around, you want to subtly drop them back down. But you don't want to drop them down too early because it's going to like jerk you around. May not be great. But that's the idea. It's one fluid movement. Kind of cut the elbow like that, do like a quick little like mini snap, but at the same time your fins are kicking water like out into the side, and your legs will drag up on top of you. Not drag up on top of you, but they will sit up on top of you in like a crossing formation or so while you execute the spin until you're comfortable to come back around. You could drop them back down and grab your traction and get back into the wave. Backside 360, it's almost kind of the same way, but you're a lot more back. You need to, the backside 360 is all about the bottom turn kind of. You got to get your bottom turn, be coming up comfortably into the wave, and be in a spot where you know that your 360 is going to push you back into the whitewash and not go over the top. But at the same time, it's coming up to about, you don't want to be like up above the lip unless you have a more, a steeper wave to work with. But here in Huntington, you don't have much of a steep wave to work with, so you got to execute your backside 360 in the middle, almost the middle of the wave, 75% up the wave. And at the same time, it's a little bit harder with the legs, but you're coming up to the face, 75% up it. You do like almost like a somewhat of a snap like that. And here's where body shifting really comes into play. The backside 360, as you do the snap, you have your fins, they kick out, kick the water to the side, so you start gaining momentum. And at this point, the backside 360 is all about shifting your weight way far forward. So you shift your weight way far forward. That should give you momentum going down the wave. And all you have to do is make sure you don't catch an edge as it spins back around. And once again, remember that your leg movements derive from your hip. So you can kick your legs around all you want, but if you want power and less movement, you're going to kick it from your hip. That's going to be the most important thing. So there's the backside 360, going either way. You go up 75% of the wave, fluid motion, do like a little elbow, make sure you press that elbow in, get a quick little push, snap, whatever. At the same time, your feet are kicking water up into the side, and then shift your weight pretty extremely far up front. Your head's going to be like almost dipping in the water as it kicks your legs around and all that fun stuff. Okay, so there's the backside 360. Barrel roll. Barrel roll, I like barrel rolls because they're simple. They show up good on film. And your form should not move very much when you're doing a barrel roll. As long as your elbow's planted and your outside hand is just there kind of like as guidance, you really should let your neck do the movement. If you see a lot of my barrel rolls, when I have time to, I do like a neck movement like this and go up, and like my body doesn't move at all. So it's my head's momentum throwing me back to where I need to be. And most of the time you land back like this. There are a couple times I've landed at wedge where even if you land like this, it's going to pop your elbow out and you're going to hit your head no matter what. If you're landing to flats, that's usually going to happen. So sometimes I almost all the time I try and land it like this. There are times where I'm landing the flats and you gotta at least hope your elbow catches, but it's gonna pop out. I've come down on my face mount before like that, straight onto the board at Seal Beach. I did it last year. Bloody lip. It was the day I lost my GoPro and Eli found it, and then it happened at the wedge once too. But yeah, with the barrel roll, you shouldn't really derive from just your natural form. Yeah, just kind of like taking the motion around the wave. You want to make sure your legs are straight, and you can almost kick your legs like that at the last second that you do your barrel roll, because you want to shoot out in front of the wave. If not, you're going to land in the section where it's crevicing and you're going to go straight into it. It's going to push you down in the sand. So make sure you go over, you want to shoot out and over the wave. When the wave comes down like this and crashes up, this part right here where it's crashing back up is your landing. That's what softens your landing. I've taken some huge areas down where I thought I was gonna not be in a good condition after. In that, when the wave crashes, pushes back up, that absorbs everything. I've had some very cushiony falls from 10 feet from that. And so that's where you want to be. You can do your barrel roll, give a little bit of a kick with your feet like that at the end. That gives you a little bit of a boost. But in the beginning, it's about that head movement, kind of just getting up that face, and make sure you have no drag. You're not going to be able to do this very good with no drag. And then the ARS. I've done a couple ARSs in the POV. They've never really shown up. They just look like, I don't know. But yeah, they haven't come out very great, so I haven't been doing them. But in ARS, it's kind of, you're pretty much going for the barrel roll. It's a barrel roll and there's a leg kick in the middle of the barrel roll. Since I don't do them all the time, I feel like, it's not, I shouldn't talk too much on it. But yeah, the ARS, you're going up for the barrel roll. I feel like I leave my fins in the water before I execute my 360, because it's a barrel roll with a 360 air roll spin. So yeah, I feel like when I do my ARSs, I go for the barrel roll and I'm in mid-air, and my fins, like I've executed half the barrel roll and my fins are still in the water, and that's when I kick my legs out and it gives you the extra 360. So that's the ARS. Like I said, I don't want to talk too much on it because I don't, I'm the barrel roll guy. It comes up good on footage. That's what I enjoy doing, and on shore break like we have. You can land barrel rolls every time, but you're not gonna, it's a lot harder to execute the ARS cleanly and the inverts. And then when it comes to an inverts almost kind of, it's creepy because you have to like pretend like you're doing a barrel roll, and then you have to just stop and be like, wait a second, no, I'm going back. So you really, it's kind of sketchy with your neck just coming down. Well, I mean, you have to protect your neck all the time, but yeah, it's a little sketchy, but you're really just kind of like riding the face of the wave up, and your legs don't, with the invert, your legs cannot touch the water. That's a main point. Legs cannot touch the water as you hit, and if you're going right and you're going up for the invert, your right leg wants to kick out. That's what's going to hold and be able to kind of bring your body back, is just your legs staying in that one spot. I guess I need a bigger camera. But yeah, you want to, if you're going up right, you get your bottom turn, going up to the section or whatever, and you just kind of like riding the momentum of the wave, keep going. You're just going upside down, and your right leg will kind of just go limp out like a dead fish. And as you feel comfortable, in order to come back from your invert, that's when that leg's momentum is going to pull you back to where you want to be. So yeah, so I've been trying to dissect these for the past couple weeks. I've done my best job, but sorry if I don't have too much information. That's the way I feel that I do it, without ever really having much of a learning technique or anything like that. I've just learned as I've watched things in videos and stuff like that. Oh, and then the backflip. I don't even think I've pulled a backflip on film. I've gone for one at cylinders before, but it just ended up in whitewash. Yeah, the backflip is just kind of like, you just kind of, it's a backflip. But basically, I can say when you do your backflip, and you come down, you're going to come down backwards, so you got to pull yourself around. So when you come down backwards, your feet, your fins should be still kind of like above you like this, and you drop one of the fins like that, just kind of like the tail of it, and that's what spins you back around. Is one of your feet can drop down, and if you put your leg in too much, it may take you all the way down. But if you just kind of like drop one of your fins on that back flip as you're riding backward, kind of like, it'll spin you back around into it. Yeah, all right, hopefully that helps. I guess I did my best for winging it. Yeah, if you want to, some of the bodyboarding that, like I don't stay too much into the scene nowadays, but some of the bodyboarding that got me into bodyboarding in high school was tension, all the tension bodyboard videos, the no friends bodyboard videos, tension bodyboard videos were unreal. Yeah, really cool stuff. If you guys want to check those out, that's kind of the bodyboarding that they really got me into it and made it fun, and just kind of like, it was cool. All right, I guess I'll open up some questions here. Sorry, I'm sure I missed a million. Front flip pro. Oh yeah, I guess I do have to do the front flip. Yeah, the front flip. As you're taking your form, you basically just kind of I guess it's all about timing, but you just kick your fins down like that. Kick your fins down, and you tuck your shoulders to where, if you've seen the one back front flip that I did land a couple weeks ago, I had my board in front of me, and I turn it to the side so I can tuck the board in, and then I had to unravel it back out as I landed it. But front flips are more about timing, but you kick your feet downwards, and you got to make sure your body has come up out of the water. It's like the last second you kick your feet downwards, and that's when you tuck your head. And as for your board, it kind of like can tuck into here sideways, because you're not gonna, it's gonna hit your waist if you do it straight down. But you tuck it sideways, and then there needs to be where your legs come back out, and you bring the board back underneath you, which can hurt, but it works. All right, what wetsuit do I use? What's up, Brazil? What's up, Leo? My wetsuit is an Excel TDC X2. Yeah, that one's nice. I was actually, the other day, I was surprised how warm it was keeping me, despite how cold the wind was. But yeah, I still keep, my whole chest was still warm. I was, moving around and stuff like that. It was pretty damn cold, but what video was the front flip in? It was the one, the front flip was, it's the song that starts out and it goes, blood in my cut. Blood in my cut. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago with the Brothers of the Oceans guys. Yeah, you got to get used to those bruised ribs for sure. What's your technique for crashing on the shore and shore pound? Honestly, just, when you're riding straight onto the shore, the quicker you bail off your board, the quicker you're going to be on the sand. So as long as you try and keep your legs, or not your legs, your board underneath you, there's something usually when I'm riding straight onto sand, or why people get sucked up into the wave versus continually riding the wave out, is their legs get sucked up over the falls. And so when I'm riding, my legs end up sliding out to the side. So I'm almost sliding sideways on the wave to get through to the inside section before it just, kind of closes out completely. But a lot of times I don't, well, hold on, forget that. I just saw a comment and it gave me another idea. But when you do get onto the sand, what you do is you tuck and roll. So if you're, as you're going straight into closeout as far as you can, sometimes it is just going to throw you over. You have no opportunity, you have no chance to get out. So at that point, your body movement is going over your board. You usually, for me, I guess I just put my hand down and you kind of roll out of it, and it seems to work for me. What's up, Donovan? Do you use a bodyboard bag? And if you do, bodyboard bag? No, I used to when I was way younger, when we used to bring like all of our stuff down to the beach for junior yards and all that stuff. We used to have the bodyboard bags. They're pretty convenient, but now once you get a car, you just leave everything in your car. So no bodyboard bag for me. Thank you, Leo. Did you ever get injured at the wedge? If you did, yeah, the most. I mean, you always just kind of get like really tight necks and tight shoulders and stuff like that. That's usually what happens. But it was about a year and a half ago. I was at Cylinders and I was trying to get this shot and I held up too long, and it was before I used the mouth mount. It was with the pull. And I had it up like this, and I was holding it at the last second, and it was in like a couple feet of water at Cylinders, and as I went under a little bit late too, and as I went under, it came like this, picked me up and threw me down, and I landed like flat right here on my shoulders, landed straight to flats, and I wasn't bodyboarding for about a month and a half or two. I was just doing water shots because I had this thing every single time I started to I tried to do something, it would just like kind of re-injure, and I knew I was icing it and trying to keep compression on it. Eventually, after a couple months, it got back to where it was, but it was nice big. I think it was something to do with my collarbone, but yeah. But yeah, that was the worst at the wedge. I've had some, obviously you have kind of just really strained muscles, and your neck's always sore, your ribs get really sore. In fact, you do get you'll get bruises underneath your ribs here. Yeah. Hear a nice crunch. Yeah. Yeah, it was. I do remember at one point going like this and feeling like like, oh shit. Yeah, collarbones seem to be like the the majority of injuries, collarbones and ribs, from what I've seen, like at the wedge, or most just surfing issue stuff. I definitely prefer the bat tail. I've had the crescents in the past. I don't know. I like the bat tail. I don't know why. The bat tail, when it came out, I was just like in love with it. I don't know why. And it actually, like, when I'm set up going down the wave, just below like your belly button is where my body sits, and the bat tail, I feel, sits right there and allows me to just barely kind of like sit and it's easy to keep your legs up and out of the water with the bat tail. I feel like that may be the biggest thing. The bat tail, I feel, allows you to have a couple extra inches to plant your hip section and keep your legs up out of the water. There's still obviously a lot of core strength that goes into it, but in general, yeah. Thank you, Surf Buta. Can you do a tutorial on how to do it? Wade, what's up, man? Yeah, I just did a tutorial. This stream is gonna be live, or it's live. It's gonna be uploaded in like however long it takes YouTube to upload it. I did do a tutorial. I ran through a bunch of stuff. All the tricks that I do or have done that I feel comfortable talking about. So this will be uploaded in a little bit. I'm gonna do like probably 5 or 10 more minutes of just Q&A stuff, but it'll be up soon. I went over everything, some really cool stuff. I think so. What's up, Eduard Navarro? Thank you. If you want to haul, ask it a bat tail. Yeah, I definitely. You think it hydroplanes? I do think it hydroplanes more. I think crescent tails may be able to kind of cut into the corners more, and bat tails may be more susceptible to sliding out. But that's my roommate's cat. I didn't even notice that until now. But yeah, I feel like crescent tails kind of cut into the side more. They cut into the corners more. And with the bat tail, you're more susceptible to sliding out. But bat tail may make 360s easier as long as you're shifting your weight correctly. I'd say, Kib, Bungie. Will I ever come to... Okay, for sure. I got you. Thank you, Jacob. I'm actually still looking at the surf. I did film this morning. I'm still looking at it. I may go back out. I don't know. It's just it's cold, so it's like I don't know. I may. I think the last time I checked, the wind picked up, so it doesn't look like I'm doing that. Okay. Wave IQ. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do next, tutorial wise, but I'm probably gonna be doing like once a month or something like that, at least for now. I may pick them up in 2017, just depending on things. But I'm going through some other questions here, trying to find and see if there's anything. Thanks for the tutorial, DK. No problem, Dorian. No problem. Let's see. Tamrock. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Are you live right now? I am live. Live. I'm so live. You surf in French? No, I do not. What's up, Brazil? Yeah, Brazil. Bodybuilding? I don't work out. I go for runs on the beach like once a week, and then I just surf. Oh, okay. I use the rounded pins, Daniel. This is a surfing Q&A, but or I mean, this is a bodyboarding Q&A, but I'll answer whatever. It's all good. With the surfboard, I've been using the rounded pintail for that board for the past 15 years. I had a squash tail for a couple years that I broke that board about 7 or 8 months ago. I'm gonna go back to the squash tail. I think the rounded pintail was good, but I haven't used a squash tail in some time since I broke that one board. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to the squash tail. I feel like it's more just versatile versus the rounded pin, where it's kind of like more drive for like carving and can handle like a bit more size. But yeah. Favorite surf movie? Surfing. I guess John's movie was sick. I love that. But yeah, I grew up, watching like Sabotage, Taj Burrow, and then what are those films that even Ben Stiller was in one of them? The Show, I think it was called. I grew up with some of those, Billabong, Quicksilver. That's who was around when I was growing up. So yeah, I remember watching a lot of Taj Burrow. There was another movie I saw, like September Sessions. It was really good. And then nowadays, yeah, I don't get around to watching too much nowadays. But I saw the John film. That was great. Let's see. I did not see the Clark Little thing yet. You know what? They actually sent me a clip to view it, but I never got to it. I just remember that right now. It was like months ago. Yeah, I need to check that one out. Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in California. I grew up in Huntington. I've always lived here. Oh, yep. I have been up to Central California and Northern California, but not for surfing. I don't wear a leash on my bodyboard. I started not wearing one when I was just kind of going into shore break a lot more often, and then I like lost my leash for a little bit, so I started going out without it, and like in Huntington when it's not shore break. And so once I kind of like didn't have a leash for a while, I was just like, all right, I gotta land everything, and that idea kind of stuck, where it was just like, if I land it, I don't have to swim back in for it. It actually it kind of it toughens you up for sure. But I do wear my leash on big days in Huntington or Newport or anything that has more of a swim out. Mainly Huntington. Sometimes you got to paddle 100, 150 yards out just to get to the outside break. It kind of sucks on big swells because you got to get pounded for like just to get out. But yeah, I do use my leash on bigger days, mainly in Huntington. Seal Beach, never use my leash. Wedge, never use my leash. Balboa, I don't use my leash. Newport, I guess it just depends. But yeah, I tend to use my leash in Newport. Yeah, people get hurt every swell from what I see. It's not, there's no, you just got to kind of follow everyone who's like around and doing their thing. Everyone always kind of gets injured in some way, shape, or form every swell. The big injuries, like the drownings and stuff, don't, the only way you can find them is just like on the news or, well, not big injuries, no, they kind of get posted everywhere. But the small injuries is what I meant to say. Is those ones, sometimes it's just like, like posting something on Instagram, like, with something, I can't remember, it was the September 24th swell that there was a guy who did mess up his neck, and he was in a full vice and everything, and I was surprised that wasn't on the news or anything. It was just on this guy's Instagram. It's like crazy. Oh, that's awesome, Sir Fuda. Glad I could share. I try and keep it as family friendly as possible. Sometimes I can't resist, but I try and keep it as family friendly as possible, but sometimes it's just, you can't help it. I don't really know. Sometimes when it comes down to whether I'm going to film from the beach or the sand, it just depends if there's enough. If I feel like there's talent out there that's worthy of filming, that's usually on swells. That's the way it goes. And now on swells, I try and go out every time after. But if I'm getting good enough footage from the sand, that's what I'm going to choose to do. I try and do my POVs when there's like almost nothing that I can film, because I know I can do decent to good in not so good conditions. And so, like on big swell days, I do try and do 2-3 hours of filming from the sand and then go out after. Because, DSLR footage is my first priority, and it's not easy to get. You got to be in the right place at the right time all the time. And so yeah, that's mainly how I choose. Sometimes if I'm out for 4 days in a row, like just past couple days, I've been filming the pier. I haven't put those videos up yet, but I've been filming the pier, and that's, because 4 days before that, last week, I was out in cold water every morning. I even tweaked my neck in the skimboard video the day before the offshore video. And, I was just like, dude, I can't go out, and the conditions changed, and I was just like, I have to. There's no choice, it's cold, the waves are, good, and there's a crowd, but, you just gotta force yourself to do it sometimes. Favorite forecasting tool? I use Surfline and Swell Info, the hurricane tracker on Swell Info, and then Surfline I use for pretty much everything, checking the cams and stuff like that, and of course their reports too, and their Lola models. They do really good. They do I like their swell maps that are coming. They show it coming all the way in from Alaska. Those are nice, and they do the monthly updates and stuff. I like those. There's a channel on YouTube that's incredibly insightful. It's called Storm Surf. Something with numbers. Storm Surf 009001, something like that. Storm Surf, it's like 30-40 minutes, and he puts one up every couple weeks or something like that. And it's a lot of like stuff that you don't understand, but every time I watch them, I learn more. And this guy's incredibly knowledgeable, and he's just, it's great. It's a channel here on YouTube. I'll put it in the description. I'll put a bunch of that stuff in the description. But yeah, Storm Surf on YouTube, very knowledgeable dude that I learn stuff every time I watch his videos. It's one of those things that I don't understand half of it, but I will as I watch them. Surfline, I've certainly noticed Surfline's estimations have been quite off. At the same time, weather is just a prediction. I do feel like something's going on with their buoys out there, the Lola buoys. The way they're tracking something, I do feel needs to be tightened up. So, at the same time, you can only, it is just a prediction. But, hopefully they kind of fix something. Or I did notice that there's a new satellite going out just recently. It must have been a YouTube video saying, like, they just launched these new satellites, and it's going to streamline the way they predict surf forecasting. I think it might have been on Surfline. You know, they might have been the ones to post that. Might have been on Surfline. But yeah, back to the motion errors. I don't know about practicing on land. That sounds pretty weird, Kurt Parr. I guess you can, but I never have, or I never have seen anyone do it. I think that would be pretty funny. But when they do, I'll be filming from far away. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, forecasting it's interesting. It's what is very interesting that I've noticed since I started documenting every swell 2015 January is a lot of the predictions that I have come from the years before. In 2015, certain things played out. Obviously, you know, it was more of an El Nino and then La Nina kind of stuff going on. But I've noticed that certain things happen the same time of year, and weather doesn't have like a huge difference on it. It's almost more of you just predicting like, okay, this time of year the sandbar's built up over here. The swell was you know, pushing more to the north that time of season, and now it's just changed its track, so the sand might be built up here, blah blah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes into it. But I've noticed that a lot of it is just the time of year and the way the seasons change, and obviously swell does have a very huge impact on it. That's where our waves come from, but it's really just swell meeting that the seasons kind of and the climate changing where it is, not coming from across the sea. But thank you, Chase. Do you know Mundaka? I've heard of it. I can't quite remember where it is right now. Hossegor. I've heard of Hossegor. I remember playing that in Trans World Surf, I think it was. Qui in France. What's that, Tom? How you run so fast with your flippers? Yeah. When you're walking with your flippers, your fins, you just gotta you gotta learn to use your knee more. So like I like, you know, when you pull it up, you kind of like, I probably look like a retard. Sorry. I probably look like a something. But yeah, you gotta use your knees more. That's how you don't get caught tripping. Oh man. All right, guys. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Yeah, this is I did through the whole first part of the session. I went through a tutorial. This is gonna be uploaded shortly. You guys can check that out. I go over everything from just the basics. I go into tricks, form, all that stuff. I was just winging it, so hopefully you know, it can serve a purpose somehow. All right, guys. Thank you, and I'm gonna look at Surfline again because I kind of want to go out. All right.